Welcome, friends, Romans, countrymen, enemies, frenemies, whatever you are. My name is Suzanne Titkemeyer, and for over 10, almost 10 years, I wrote for Pathos, No Longer Quivering, and for about a year or so before that, I was the admin of Pathos. No Longer Quivering before we joined Pathos. I have been traveling. Hey, Julianne. I have been traveling, girl, and there's a lot of things I want to talk about today. Today is chock block full of all kinds of insanity. Since I'm finally back, we got back yesterday around noon. Noelle, yeah, I want to talk about that in a second. We flew in about noon. By 2:30, we were back here with the back of our car loaded with suitcases and all the crap we bought from Costco. And by 8 o'clock, we were in that bed. We were both sleeping. So there was that. The trip was okay. Small town Jewel. The trip was good. And the trip was good. We had some head knockings with relatives that I'm not going to go into, but there's always that when you deal with your relatives. You're always going to have one or two that you're not going to agree with. So I'm going to talk at the end about how to deal with people that are problematic in your life, people that you have to work with, people that are family members, people that are distant friends. There's all kinds of different ways. And there's one way that's really the best for dealing with them because it makes you just remove yourself from situations. So I'm going to explain about gray rocking in just a little bit. Hey, bossy. Somebody else see your iPad? Oh my. We got a lot going on. I know there are a lot of people. So here's the thing. Do I join the Todd Chrisley class action lawsuit? I can't believe I'm saying these words and I'm laughing about it. Because until recently I would have said no. I'm not going to join that. I would have said that. I would have said that there was no way. And I'm not talking much about her. I'm still not talking much about her. So Todd Chrisley, if you don't know, hey, realification, he is suing without a crystal ball. And now he's funding a class action lawsuit for anyone harmed by without a crystal ball. Everyone is telling me to join. And, I was not going to join. I had thought about it and said, no, I'm not going to join. Two things have happened that have changed my view of that. Number one, when I got an email from Katie Joy's lawyer, Mr. Graham, that ordered me to provide all my correspondence with Katie Joy and all my correspondence with Steve McRae. There is no correspondence with Katie Joy to provide because she's erased it all. I just have a handful of screen caps I kept from where we were supposed to do a live stream and her and I discussing it. Since she said it was never going to happen, I wanted to prove her otherwise. And since she said so many things about me not knowing who I was and not working with her and various things, I just wanted to hold on to those things to put paid to that information. But that's literally all I have. So he's trying to pump a dry hole here. His insistence that I should be providing them with any personal notes I've taken, any possible book I'm writing, all of that all falls flat. As I told him, and as I've said here before, you will have to go to court here in Costa Rica and get a Costa Rican court to order me to turn those things over. And the only thing they're liable to order is my correspondence with Steve, because there is no correspondence with Katie Joy. So she did steal my research. She stole a lot of my writings. She plagiarized quite a bit from me frequently. I've discovered after the fact. So there's that. The other thing is, I wasn't going to join, and then that happened. I got that crazy email and went, what? And then went, oh, that's a bunch of bullshit. Showed it to my Costa Rican lawyer, said, I told you a woman crazy. That's not me calling her crazy. That's my lawyer here calling her crazy. So that was the first thing that happened. That is the first thing that happened. And knowing that she's plagiarized from me. knowing that she physically harmed me when she got me to get up early that day and double medicate when I was possibly the sickest I've ever been here, just to be able to do a live stream with me. And then she stood me up and she didn't bother to say, hey, I'm sorry about that. Oh, I can't use you, any of that. She just told her fans, oh, well, I talked to Suzanne and we're best friends again. BS. I've not heard from her once. I did reach out to her once and say, hey, this is stupid. We should squash this beef and all go on. And she attacked me. So there's that. The more people, the better chance of removing her from YouTube. Oh, and the less people she could harm. That was number one, the reason why I thought, well, maybe I'll do this. And even then, I was kind of waffling still. The second thing that happened was that convinced me of this was Gabby Patito. I'm sure you all know by now that Gabby disappeared while she was on. Gabby's a bigger YouTuber than I or her. She disappeared while she was on a journey with her fiance through the national parks of the West, I believe it was. She disappeared. The fiance went home and said he didn't know what happened, or he didn't say anything. I'm not sure. I've been out, like I said, I've been mostly out of the loop. I looked about a little bit of the coverage. That's the second thing that flipped me over. When I saw that she was making stuff up again, Arnold, and calling it research and saying that she doxed the wrong person. She claimed to have been swatted. Now, while it looks like the police did come and talk to her because some idiot contacted the FBI and said she was hiding Brian Laundrie, Gabby Petito's fiance, at her house while that happened, she wasn't actually swatted, because what happens with swatting is the SWAT team lands on you and they tear your place apart looking for whatever it is. And I have a real good friend that was, I'm going to say, almost swatted recently. Somebody called up and said her and her husband were making meth in a hotel room. And the next thing you know, you've got every law enforcement agency in the world tearing apart hotel rooms, tearing apart apartments, tearing apart labs, looking for the supposed meth that didn't exist. So 12 or so, I am assuming there are at least that many. Yeah, I think there are more than that. She has to insert herself into every case to get attention. You are exactly right. She inserted herself into the Gabby Patito thing in some pretty awful ways. She doxed a lady who was completely unrelated to the entire thing, including mentioning where she worked, the whole 9 yards. And you know her stands are the type that would harass somebody. So there's that. She yet again has done something that has real life consequences for real life people. And so that's one of my things that I hold against her, is that she does that crap. So that's the thing that's flopped me over. I haven't done it yet. I explained to LB today all the reasons, because I have a long list of them, including her trying to say she didn't know who I was, even though I worked with her for 10 months. I tried to train her for a while at the suggestion of our mutual editor. I tried to help her. I tried to reach out to her. I tried to help her on the straight and narrow and do it the Patheos way, which she was not capable of, apparently. And so I'm an idiot for helping her. I'll not do that anymore. That is ended. So she's claiming she doesn't know who I am. She's claiming I haven't been harassed. She's claiming I don't live in Costa Rica. She's claiming all sorts of really stupid things that she knows better. But mostly she says she doesn't know who I am. I trained her for 10 months. Tried to help out. I tried to work with her. I tried to get her with the Patheos program for 10 months. I talked to her endlessly about her son's problems. Okay, Noelle, you go back to work. I'll talk to you later. My understanding is that the police were there. She had a neighbor that went into one of her live streams and said, tell the truth, Katie. We heard all the conversation with the police. So they were sitting on their porch and they heard what was said. And they said what she's describing and saying happened did not happen. So I'm believing that this is something else entirely. She didn't get swatted. That much I know. She's claiming she got swatted. So I think that she doesn't know what the truth is anymore. And that's the reason that I'm going to join the class action lawsuit. I've been busy with traveling, so I haven't really paid much attention to that. I was just trying to get everything ready and trying to get out the door here. Because those of you that know me, you know I have mast cell, but mostly the thing I have more than mast cell. I'm looking around for it. Where is it? Oh, my cane is over there on the other side of the bed. I've had a stroke, so I'm walking with a cane now. So getting around the airport becomes a whole lot more problematic with the slick floors they have. So ever since I've had to do this, like February, I'm realizing more and more that if you are disabled, and you're trying to navigate in the public sphere, it can be really difficult in ways I never dreamed or imagined. Everything from listening to me rant about how hard it is to get around and use a regular restroom. I prefer the handicap stalls because they have bars you can hang on to. And sometimes today's a bad example. Today is a very bad walking day, and I would have to have a public restroom with the handlebar to hang on to take my underwear down without peeing on myself. It would have to happen. Bad walking day. So, Small Town Jewel, I saw that. I saw that the logs, showed there was nothing. It's very curious. Bossy, yes, I'm joining. Like I said, those two things flipped me over. The fact that I got that dumb, useless email insisting that I turn over any personal notes I had in any possible book I was writing, which even in a regular lawsuit would not be subject to them being able to ask me that, because I'm not involved regardless of what she said. I'm a friend of Steve McRae's. I've talked to him endlessly. If she does manage to subpoena my conversations with him, she's going to be bored silly. There was a lot of talk about Nat. We were trying to figure out what Nat was and who Nat was. Not so much about KJ, but there is a whole lot of conversations about other things that have nothing to do with KJ. If her lawyer wants to bill her $500 an hour to look through our conversations, joking about stuff, have at it. Pay him. I'm more than happy to provide that. But it's going to take a court order, so you better file and take your bullshit saying that you're going to hit me with sanctions. You don't realize Minnesota sanctions are meaningless in Costa Rica. They are meaningless here, and you would have to sanction me, send a court order, all that through Costa Rican courts, because that's where I live. I'm a resident here. I'm not a resident in the U.S. any longer. So good luck with that. So Katie and all of that, and the way she handled the Patito case is another reason to jump on this thing, because it's just gross. So now it's you. Well, Bossy, I don't know. I'm pretty sure Steve McRae would probably be one of them. A few other people I can think of that are likely. I might, like I said, Christoph, I think I have a pretty good case because she did physically harm me when she stood me up that time and I did double medicate. I have saved screen caps where I talk about being sick, where I talk about having to double medicate, and how I don't know if I can talk more than 5 minutes because I was having such a time with my lungs. So there's that. Backwoods Barbie, yeah, I know she's joining. And I think with her, Katie made fun of her for having mental illness, was it? I'm not sure. I haven't been watching that. I don't have endless hours and endless days, so I don't watch everybody's live streams. So there's that. And for me, like I said, it's all the times that I go into someone else's stream and her stands attack, and they say things about me like I didn't know who she was, I'm stalking her, that she didn't know who I was. It's all the stuff that I can actually prove in a court of law is a lie. So there's that too. So she's also plagiarized quite a bit for me. So those things are not going to play well in court, I don't think. Will Caroline joining did more than the M&M happened? I don't know. I think she is. I think she's joining, but I don't know what the history is besides the M&Ms and the mocking. No, Bossy, we never talked about her splitting the AdSense on anything. I was completely acholistic at that point. I was only working for Pathos. I was not seeing any AdSense money from anything except my personal blog at the time. And that was all just AdSense relating back to Amazon so that I could keep buying books. I'm hooked on books, if you haven't figured that out. I read quite a number of them. I read some of my daughter's books while I was there, along with my own books. And we read some of the same books so we could talk about them. That was fun. So traveling, I got to go back to that. Delta, mixed feelings about them now. I've always used Delta to fly from here because they're the best usually. Their customer service is the best. They're the easiest to deal with. So I actually prefer them. I just got to say, I flew American in July because I couldn't get Delta tickets. And I did not have a good experience with the ADA accommodations, but they have apologized and refunded my ticket. So I do appreciate that. So I'm going to fly American again. I'm going to try them again. Delta, since the pandemic has happened, Delta has dropped the ball on having a wheelchair for me, even though the wheelchairs have always been requested at the same time I bought the tickets. I bought my tickets to come to the States back in July for the September trip. So I always buy my tickets well in advance. I put it on my special requests and we go from there. And they're supposed to have a wheelchair waiting for me. They did not in March. I did not have wheelchairs anywhere I went. I raised a hell and fussed and bitched and moaned about it. And no, the only place they really had one available was when I got to Liberia here. This time on the way down, not a wheelchair to be seen. Delta dropped the accommodations, even though there's a gate agent say, "Oh, I see you have wheelchair requests." Yes, I did. My husband had to, well, first the Delta employee had to get a wheelchair for me, a Delta gate agent, and push me up past the gate. And then my husband had to push me through the Atlanta airport because Delta had dropped the ball. When I got to Baltimore, there were 8 or 9 people waiting for wheelchairs. And the Delta agent, I tried to talk to him about that because the Baltimore-Washington International Airport is a smaller airport. So I just said, no, I don't really need one. I'll walk, even though I have requested it because it's small enough airport. I can usually manage just fine at BWI. So that's why she's talking bad about me, small time Joe. That's why KJ's goal is to make me not have yeah, so there's all that with her. She's trying to prevent me from having viewers. I've said this before, I've said this again, I don't do this for money. I started doing this during the pandemic. It was very uncomfortable. Now I'm enjoying myself. I'm having a good time. So that's all there is to it. And so, Bossy, on the way back, they were wonderful. They had a wheelchair waiting. They had everything ready for me. They had every accommodation. They moved me up to business class repeatedly when they saw that I was struggling to walk. They were wonderful. They were absolutely 100% wonderful on the way back. It was the way there it sucked. And I know Atlanta's a crapshoot. I've talked to people who've flown Atlanta in practically every airline. Atlanta has got a situation going on the same as Charlotte, where what they're telling me, and when I tried to talk to the gate agent about it at Baltimore, they just don't have enough employees to push the chairs. There's a labor shortage in the U.S. going on right now. I run into this every time I go to the U.S. since the pandemic. People are staying home and collecting their unemployment or whatever because they're afraid of the virus. They don't want to work. And I don't blame them. I do not blame them at all. So I think the industry is going to have to step up and pay more money. I'm sorry, industry, for that, but it just is what it is. When you cannot get people to work for sub-minimum wage, guess what? You have to raise the wage. That's all there is to it. Yeah, so my husband pushed me through, and that was okay. He can push me in the wheelchair. He needs the exercise. So there's that. You writing your dissertation on it? Oh, wow. doing okay, Real. I can't walk today. I'm having walking difficulties, but that might be because I stayed up for 48 hours and I traveled from one continent to the other. Here's the thing about coming to Costa Rica. If you live here, well, come in here anytime. International flights, at least on Delta, require you to check in 3 hours before your flight. The Liberia airport is not round the clock, okay? All of the flights at Liberia arrive at around 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. All the flights going out of Liberia go out around noon to about 3:30, 4 o'clock. Now, there are a few morning flights too, but that's it. After 3:30, they shut that airport down. There's nobody. There's like a couple of security officers. That's it. Until, again, the next morning when they have a Delta flight, 1 or 2, and they have 1 or 2 private flights. But the majority of the airport traffic in Liberia is in that window. It's in that lunchtime window. So if you fly here and you have that 3-hour check-in before, my flight was leaving at 6 a.m. And they changed my flight a bunch of times. I mean, they kept bumping it back, bumping it forward, just all kinds of stuff. And so to check in for a 6 a.m. flight, you have to be at the airport at 3 a.m. I am not asking my 2 children that I was staying with to get up and drive me to the airport for 3 a.m. because both of them work in the D.C. area, and neither one of them need to be getting up and and running my ass around. So what I do a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times, if I can't get an Uber lined up for that time, I'll just go to the airport about 10 or 11, and I will just hang out, take a nap, drink a soda or 2, read a book, crochet, and wait until 3 a.m. And that's what I did this time, and it was fine, other than not sleeping. So there was that. Yes, Lisa, I am back. D-Ash, was that it? Because I didn't get all of that. Because I was, and my relatives, I wasn't watching much going on with her. I did say that saw that the neighbors were saying that that she lied about why the police were called and what was said. I did see that. I just didn't see what it was that they'd said that had gone on. One of my mates has a new book out that looks fantastic. Your alley too. Which one is that, D-Ash? I read a bunch of books while I was gone. I'm trying to order one from the Officer Tatum because he's got a book coming out that looks really good about his years being a Black police officer. I'm very interested to read that. But he didn't have it in Kindle edition, or I would order it. And I can't count on getting a hard copy here of anything. We get there to check in. Let me guess, they cancel your flight because I've had American cancel a few of my flights. Powers and Thrones. Okay, yeah, that'd be awesome. I'm going to have to look it up. So I had all that nonsense with American back in July where they canceled my flight again and again. And I had to go back and rebook just to be able to get home again. Delta is pretty good about rebooking you, pushing you around. I'm not really sure why she keeps saying things that are so easily debunkable either. That's pretty crazy. Few hours before we were to board. I have a feeling I know where this is going. Yes, that's what they told me. I heard 3 different reasons. Once I heard weather, another time they said it was a gas shortage, another time they said they didn't have employees. Don't sell the tickets if you can't. Weather, I can understand. The other 2 are scheduling problems that the company needs to deal with. Once upon a time, flying was a pretty rarefied thing, and they treated you well, and people dressed up, and they behaved when they flew. Not anymore. Like I said, when I flew back in July, people were fighting behind me in coach over seats. I was sitting up in business class listening to this, kind of just going, ugh, and laughing at the same time. I was pretty horrified people would fight so hard to sit together.
My husband and I don't always sit together. We didn't get to sit together on all these flights, and I was fine with that. I'm an adult. I don't have to hold his hand while I'm flying. That was kind of funny. At one time, I got bumped way up to the front of the plane and stuck in the back. I believe there weren't enough passengers. I did get a full refund after rounds with him. I believe that that's the case as well. Storyland, A New Mythology of Britain. I'd like to see it. Read that one too. Per Tom Tom, I don't know. Yeah, I'm joining. I'm definitely joining because I can prove that she did me reputational harm. She plagiarized and she did me physical harm when she asked me to do this thing, and I kept telling her, I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick. And then I said, okay, I will double medicate and I will do it, even if it makes me feel sick for a few days. Because for me, that's the reality. When I travel like this, or I have to do something when I'm sick that I'm not really 100% for. Your body keeps scoring. Your body will extract a price when you do those things. I had a great walking day yesterday, and even if I was getting them to haul me every which way, except for I did walk down the gangways because it was fine. It was like no need to push me to the door of the plane. I can go down the gangway, but there was everything else. Original sum for her original mod days. She talked massive garbage about you constantly. A lot of us found you, went to see who you were. Yeah, Yamasushi, yes, I know that. That's what's so ironic about her. I tried everything under the sun when I was working with her to try to get her to, to do what she was supposed to. I talked to her about the Pathos way and what she needed to do, and she talked constant shit about everybody that we wrote with at Pathos. She was talking nonsense about people that I had a good relationship with. People like Andrew Hall, the Friendly Atheist. He's a really sweet guy. The one she really hated was David McAfee because he came on the same time she did. They introduced her to me and said, hey, if you need anything, reach out to Suzanne. And he said, hey, how you doing? I said, hey, how you doing? He was Zoom. He was gone. And he far outstripped her. He published several books. Like I said, she couldn't even hang for a full year before she was gone. And she likes to say she left. I would say at best it was a mutual situation because I wish I had kept the messages. I wish I had downloaded my entire message archive with her because I would have screen capped it in its entirety and posted it somewhere. I only managed to do a few before she went ahead and completely wiped our messages. I could have proven what shit she talked about everybody at Pathos and shared the emails and things that she had shared with me where she was fighting with Phil Fox and others at Pathos. She was fighting with them. Even when I didn't agree with policy and I had less than friendly conversations, they never went to the level of personal insults and nastiness that I saw coming out of her mouth in those emails that I saw. Yeah, I figured that every time the cops have shown up, it's because the dogs are barking and there's fighting and yelling. So yeah, I hope the Duggars will join. I think Leslie Bass is about to join. I'm having some conversations with her right now. And quite a few others need to join. So I'm hoping that everyone who can join joins. Before, like I said, I was indifferent. I got the email requesting my copies of my personal notes. I was like, nope. There is no court in the land that is going to order you to turn over personal notes you've taken, the possibility of writing a book. They just don't do that. And there are so many things about her I've had to demystify in some of my videos here, like why she calls herself a journalist, what happened with Pathos, how Pathos even works. She's lied about how they work. She lied one time in a back channel chat between all of us Pathos authors about how much money she was making. And some of us were laughing at her behind her back going, there's no way. There is no way she's making that kind of money. Yes, I'm curious to see that. Pork chop, her attorney. In that email I got, it wasn't just requesting conversations between Steve and I and her and I. They requested my notes and any possible book, anything that I've written. That was one of the things they were after. And just knowing what can and cannot be requested in these things and talking to some lawyers, they can't request your personal notes off your computer. Number one. Number two, they might have problems with that even if they were able to find a Costa Rican court to order that, because my newer computer had a hard drive crash and they didn't get a lot of my stuff off of it. They didn't get much of my writing off of it. I had most of it backed up. I did not have my notes on KJ backed up. So I'm going to have to go back and reconstruct all of that, which shouldn't be too hard. Everybody constantly posts about her. There's enough archive information available through Reddit, through the WOACB Reddit. I should be able to back it all entirely reconstructed just using Reddit alone. So there's that. So I guess it wouldn't even really matter. She is pretty shameful. Yeah, I got to agree with that. Those lawyers she keeps fighting to, they are funny. I don't think she's wrapped real tight either. I think that is kind of goes without saying. She's a fail whale in every way, and I just have laughed about it mostly. My kids have told me, said, Mom, I don't know what the hell you're talking about whenever you start ranting about Katie Joy. So I've tried to explain. My son said, oh, the lady on Kiwi Farms that they showed pictures of her wearing a diaper so she could live stream. I was like, that woman, yes, my son. That is who she is. So, you're having second thoughts, another truth? Another truth, I normally would too. I was very supportive of her for a long time. I talked to her back when her son had heart surgery quite a bit. And I try to be empathetic with most everyone. We've just reached a point with her that it's just gotten ridiculous, and I had to say something. I couldn't just continue to say something. Another truth, thanks. Like I said, I wasn't going to join in, but she made a tactical error with me. You don't request my notes for a possible book I'm writing. You just don't do that. The minute you do that is when I'm like, okay, I'm going to join the lawsuit now. And like I said, this is not my life. And in fact, the main thing I wanted to talk about today, and you can apply this to KJ, and you can apply this to anybody in your life that is problematic. God knows I've had family members I've had to apply it to, particularly family members on the outer rings, people you'd say like cousins or uncles, aunts, that sort of thing. It's called gray rocking. It's a technique I picked up probably 6 or 7 years ago. I was dealing with an in-law, a new family member that had married into our family that was behaving like a total narcissist. And I talked to my therapist about this person quite a bit because I was really hurt. They'd done some dirt to me. And I just couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out why they were saying and doing all those things. And my therapist said, well, it sounds like this person may have narcissistic personality disorder. And I had not run across many narcissists at that point in my life. I did have problematic people that I dealt with, including KJ. And so I started gray rocking people that are a problem for me. What do I mean by gray rocking? Example, somebody shows up and they start saying stuff. Example, way back, I had a family member that was trying to tell me stuff about my children that I knew wasn't true. This child faked their this. This child did this. This child did that. And it was kind of funny because one of the things they were trying to say is that one of my kids had faked getting their diploma. Well, I had been there and had seen the graduation ceremony, heard the person's name called, saw them receive their diploma. So I knew that this person was just full of nonsense. So when you have somebody like that in your life, the best thing you can do, instead of confiding them in any way, shape, or form, giving them any information, is you gray rock them. You give them no information. If they come up to you and they start telling you they're at their bursitis and their belief in UFOs or whatever that you think is weird, you say, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that," instead of, "Oh my, I have a friend that has that and I've got this ache." You just don't do that. You give them no information. You give them no information. You don't give them very, very much sympathy. You just say, "Oh, I'm sorry," and move on. Or, "That's too bad. That's unfortunate." You don't react in any real way. You don't give the narcissist the major attention they need. You just say all these meaningless little platitudes so that anything they say and do to you just rolls right over you. I'm not a person that's very, very open to manipulation anymore because I've learned this technique. And there are those that will try to manipulate you. I just shut down now and I become that gray rock. If I say anything to them at all, it'll be short, meaningless platitudes. There's no real information in any of them. They're not giving them the over-the-top, the attention that they crave. And you're just acting like you're a gray rock. You don't have anything to say, do, add, give them information of anything at all. So I'm going to have to go back and reread all your comments. Now, she is an amazing channel. I know she calls me that, Laura. She's called me that. Neglecting to mention that I worked with her at Pathos as kind of a mentor and for quite some time. But she calls me that, and I am going to bring that up. I'm still working on what I have to say in my complaint. Pork chop, I plan on it because this has been ultra fascinating, watching the manipulations, watching everything else. It's because I didn't know people like that existed in this world. Diash, I hope it also puts an end to the harassing and the doxing she does. She misuses the courts to hurt and scare people. She's done it for a decade now, and it's just gotten worse, very much so. Netflix, actually, I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. I have had a documentary crew that has reached out to me with the possibility of doing a series on this KJ thing, on her and her behaviors. And I said, that would be fascinating. Yes, you get to that point, I'll be more than happy to appear on camera and talking about this. I don't stalk her. I don't show up at her doorstep. I haven't even been anywhere near Minnesota. I don't email her. I don't talk to her. I only talk about her when she does ridiculous things, like the thing she did where she doxed the wrong person and the Gabby Patito thing. And that is a great channel. The WOACB versus WAOACB channel is crazy. I like the fact that they turn around and they do that. They use her own words against her because she continually changes what she's saying about everything. She only decided I was a stalker when I became friends with Steve McRae. And I've laughed about Steve McRae being the cult leader and all of us being under his control, but that's a bunch of BS. You deny them fuel and that frustrates them. Lisa, that's how gray rocking works. That's exactly how it works. It is the most useful thing in the world. I had somebody recently that became very angry with me someone in my real life, because I gray rocked them when they were trying to get attention and affirmations, and I just was not going to participate because they were attempting to manipulate me to do so, and I'm not about that. You try to manipulate me, and I'm going to gray rock your ass into the next century. That's just how it is. I don't have time for that. I've got so many things going on in my real life that I don't need that. Threats of legal action after my 5th tweet. She does harass and imitate. So let's see what happens with her. Let us see. Dana, I think that's very strong possibility there's going to be an Niacin style Netflix thing. I think that's coming. I don't see any way around it. Why do you think I started taking notes about this nonsense? I was upset when the hard drive died in my new computer. I have a computer I got maybe about a year ago. The hard drive died. Most of my writing I have backed up on this. I did not have my notes backed up on that. Never again. I'll always back up on this. Okay, Katie. Subpoena my flash drive. And good luck with that. I don't think that's ever been done. Yes, I think so, because somebody who was a supporter of Lori Alexander's just decided to invent the rumor that I didn't live in Costa Rica and said that I show up here and I post from a series of hotels. I only wish that, especially now, because if that was true, somebody else would be cleaning. Somebody else would clean. I would never have to clean again. And I cannot tell you how happy that would make me, especially now. I mean, we walked in yesterday and you know how it is when you leave your house for a week, 2 weeks, whatever, you come back and you're like, it smells horrible in here. Or it just smells stale. You close your house up and you're not filtering the air. There's nothing going on. You're not sweeping and cleaning like normally. You come back and it just smells stale. I don't care how perfect of a house cleaner you are. If you have a maid come in and clean them, maybe you avoid that. But most of the time, your house smells stale. I walked in last night and it smells stale and it smelled like cat because we have cats. So last night, the litter boxes all got cleaned immediately. And now it just smells that nasty stale smell. So I'm washing laundry and things, and I'm doing like a dust, and I'm going to mop. That'll kill that. But I started thinking about that because you're dealing with anybody who's pathological. You absolutely must use that technique. It's the only way to deal with them. Pork chop, you're right. Here's what I'm thinking. I think I'm going to buy a hard drive and I'm going to back up everything on an external hard drive because we've been here before. And I'm coming to you right now on my 9-year-old HP, which still works, sort of. The keyboard doesn't work. I have to have an external keyboard. The mouse doesn't work. I have an external mouse. The screen is cracked. And there's just little things like that, but it basically works. So this is my backup. Now the truth, that's the nice thing about Gray Rock. Even if the other person takes offense, in the situation I was in recently, the other person took offense. They wanted me to chase them and say all these things, and I wasn't about to. I was just like, I wasn't about to do it. So when you get in those situations and somebody wants you to do those things and you can see the other person has issues and you're trying not to inflict your own issues on the other person too, and you're taking that step back, it's the healthiest thing you can do. And let's face it, all of us deal with these kind of things. I know I tend to be a scatterbrain. I am all over the place. I have ADD big time. I know that, adult ADD, but I'm not medicated. At 61, I've learned for me, there are techniques for dealing with things like my husband can tell you I am obsessively organized. This is my travel folder that I keep our passports. I have our vaccination cards in it. I have all of our plane tickets go in that. Our extra credit cards go in that. Plane tickets, everything goes in that. So I have my little folder tucked down in my purse. That's the only way that I can stay organized. If I did like an average person and put my travel credit card in my wallet and this there and that, I couldn't handle it. But I have a all in one organized binder stuck down in my purse that I can handle. That's just where my ADD brain works, is I can't handle chaos, number one. And I know that about myself. And personal chaos of others is very triggering. I don't know how to deal with that. So I go into gray rock mode when I hit those things where I don't know what to do with. And it's a lot easier to have a planned script when you run across these people and things that just get you going. It just is what I've learned through the years. Not perfect at it. I did say some nasty things to this person. Well, some things to this person they took nasty. They weren't meant nasty, but they were taken that way. People, you cannot control how other people perceive you. That's just how it is. So that's it. That's how to do gray rocking. That's me joining Todd Chrisley's class action lawsuit. That's me giving you my travel tips and talking about how Delta was good, bad, and how American was, and that's where we are. So I had to sit down today and write out my email for this because I have not, and see if we can go from there. Another truth, did you see Mr. H's stigma spread about BPD when reporting on Amber Portwood? Yes, I did see that. And like I said, it's not something that I have a lot of knowledge of, but I could see where having to evaluate if somebody's telling the truth or not because you don't know about something. Somebody's spreading a lie. They're doing that condition, that person, that whatever, a serious disservice. A serious disservice. That's one of the reasons why I get angry about some of the Duggar coverage. The Duggars are quiverful. They have some really awful beliefs, but some people spin that as even more awful than they actually are. I'm not sure why that is, but they do seem to, and it's best to stick to known facts and not extrapolate. I'm going to have to watch him, Lisa, because I have not. And I think that it's important to get that information out there. That's where I think she has really dropped the ball. She could have done the world an enormous service by explaining how to deal with the various medical conditions her son deals with and how to handle the day-to-day of having a feeding tube, of cleaning it. There's so much information that could have been helpful, that could have been legitimate, real, and done the world a world of good. Such discussions, especially on our channel. Yeah, it needs to happen. It needs to happen. So there you have it. My husband's home from his Bible study. I'm going to go and see what he wants to do next. I've got a million loads of clothes to do today. I got to mop, my least favorite chore of all times. It is what it is. You guys have a great day and try not to let any of this get you down. Gray rock if you can.